pace and level of adoption for Ripple as a company and payments as an industry is increasingly bullish. Direct partnerships with Ripple, partnership with partners of Ripple, it's turning out to be a new way of finance. Bank of France points towards a public-private partnership coming ahead, and some says new financial system will be implemented in 2020, and for some it's May 22, and for others like Christine Lagarde, they are pointing their fingers towards 2020 itself, so that is anytime in next 7.5 months. If they are correct or not, one thing is for sure: we are going to a new financial framework, and that new financial framework is going to be sustainable in all its parameters, because the need for liquidity in different markets are different from one to another. To check and see or ensure all the benefits which are coming through that. If you are receiving value out of the content, do hit the like button, subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get updated about the future videos. And the question for majority of us is, how does all these affect the price, or at least what does the technical indicators shows us, and how the probability of price fluctuation can be checked if we are looking on a longer time frame chart. What if we are going into a shorter time frame chart? What are the trends? What are the indicators? How if we follow the lows, highs, low lows, higher highs with trend line resistance support, what does we see? What can we actually see? What the probability is there? Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Now this is a daily chart of XRP, and I've actually plotted trend line support and trend line resistances. Now this one is actually a long-term trend line resistance previously. Now it is acting as a support. We are bouncing from that level whenever we are reaching towards that. Hopefully we are not going to reach that next time. Now this trend line resistance is being strong resistance, and the price is respecting that particular area from a long time, and now we are just below that. So the question is, will we actually bounce through towards it, or will we move down? But looking at the chances, we actually had a couple of bottoms here at 0.1 in the entire cycle and a couple of tops. So in that aspect, I foresee that we may actually break through this, and the chances are we may actually reach towards 0.35. Now, if that doesn't happen, we may actually come to the bottom, meaning this is a 4-hour chart of XRP, and in this one we can actually see we are currently holding on to that support line. But if we actually go below, then in a longer term, that means we have a further chance of going to the downside. But firstly, this area of 0.19 to 0.18 can act as a support, but if it doesn't hold, then we are gonna go towards 0.1. Now moving into this is a 12-hour chart, and if we actually check the lower lows and higher highs, now yes, in order to check that, you can either use a 3-day chart or a weekly chart. It's actually up to you guys, but in order to get all the fluctuations in, to point out the lows correctly and the higher highs, higher lows all correctly, I'm using a 12-hour chart. In this one, we can actually see that we actually made lower low, lower low, and then lower high, lower low, lower low. If we actually follow that, we actually get something like this. And to clarity, this is something like this, and in that I've actually added the trend line resistance and supports, which we are actually following now. So if you actually look at that, we have a change somewhere here, but the change was like from this lower low, we actually moved into a higher low, then a lower high, then a higher high, then we actually continued with higher high couple of times, but we didn't actually get higher lows consecutively, like we didn't actually move towards that. But here, in this past case, we actually went up and came back below. But if you look at that, we got that higher high and higher low couple of times, but we didn't manage to get it continuously moving towards the next support time, right? So looking at that, currently we actually getting more. Say this is a lower low, but the next one here is higher low with higher high, again higher low, higher high, higher low and higher high. So in this aspect, we actually moving, each higher low is actually moving through a support area, and currently we are bouncing from one of the support areas. So if we manage to get a bounce and move through 0.22 area, that makes us a bit more bullish. Now this is a 3-day chart and zoomed out version of the same. Now yes, here we are depending upon more on the wicks. We are not getting the complete candles for the lower low or the higher low, higher high here. So in just for the clarity, we use 12-hour chart. So now in the 3-day chart, it's also clear that we are actually bouncing from this particular level, which is around 0.195, and the next high is around 0.22. So if we manage to break through that, then the initial resistance area which we showed here at around 0.35, 0.34 area can be targeted. This is an interesting article which is sent to me by Anuj from the Scientific Investor family. Now when we actually go through this, it is really interesting. Considering all other articles, we actually get an insight that how the money is actually changing, meaning the value transfer is actually changing. Now that regulators are actually approving this, it's gonna have a different view from the investors itself. Now I'm talking about the institutional investors. When we actually go through this, you can actually understand, according to a report recently published by America's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has been researching new developments in the remittance market, including trends related to digital currencies. So when they are pointing towards that, it's not just the central bank digital currency, but it is also digital assets like XRP and all. So here the quote is, the Bureau has continued to monitor the continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payment messaging platform to support money transfer as well as virtual currency XRP. Now we actually saw the original document yesterday and we went through that. Now the perspective here is, they actually lays out what we actually need to know. So when they're actually looking at a Ripple in bracket XRP, meaning it's the same. The company Ripple is a platform with, as we know, just this software for the messaging platform. That means it's something similar to that of Swift, messaging with the settlement of banks. Now with the cryptocurrency or the digital assets, it's together. And when the regulators are understanding this and they are kind of turning into a positive stance, that's when the actual institutions can go into that. Now this is another one showing that in African continent it is actually getting more adoption, meaning it's already full bullish stance for digital payments there because they are already high on mobile payments. Now this is another one, and this is really huge considering WordPress is a common platform for many of the creators. In that aspect, when these are being connected that into there, it really gets a bit more momentum in terms of value in the eyes of institutions, because when they are looking, they can now see that XRP is powering the payments through WordPress. So in their terms, it's written XRP powered coin could put crypto transactions into the hands of tens of millions with WordPress deal. Now that's why I told this one is huge, because there's millions of users for WordPress. So say some of them are coming into this, meaning we are gonna get new users. So when we actually read through that, we actually get this. This is a big deal because the WordPress is big. According to a W3 Tech survey in April, over a third of web is published using WordPress software. So this is a gigantic move, and as we just mentioned in the intro, the adoption is actually moving in to a new phase. So when we read through that, among those sites using content management systems, WordPress has 63% of market share. That's number 2. Joomla has 4.1%. So you can see the difference. WordPress version 5.4 has been downloaded 27 million times. So if you actually look at the real use, it is so huge. And now looking at the partner MoneyGram for Ripple and getting into another market using E9, that is another change, meaning if someone is not directly partnering with Ripple, they're actually partnering with the partner of Ripple and getting that benefits. anyway, if they are going through that settlement process, then it is gonna be through XRP ledger. So as we continue to closely manage ongoing crisis situation, we also continue to push forward on our strategy. So when they're actually looking, they are actually pushing with this new technology. And when you actually go through that, you can actually see these are actually partners in Korea itself. That is Woori Bank, Shinhan Bank, Korea Post. So when you come, it is fintech like Senbi, then all of them are actually helping MoneyGram capture more significant portion of the approximate 13.4 billion in annual remittance outflows. Now this is just from one country, that is South Korea. So as the adoption is growing and the public partnership and presence is increasingly pushing towards the partnership between public and private, it is happening. Now this one video is actually from a Bank of France, and if you actually listen to that, it's really information.
On our part at the Banque de France, as I announced 1 month ago, we will launch experimentations, first focused on the wholesale usages, and we will have a public call for projects in March. Please note the date for all who are interested, which is open to all blockchain technologies, which is open to different type of users and different candidates. So we will see, and this is for us a very good example of private-public partnership on innovation.
This one has been put out to the XRP community by XRP Crower Status, and the next one is from XRP Denarian, and this is a short. The next one is actually from XRP Denarian, and this is a short video in which the question is going through what's going to happen for our financial system, and then it is leading towards a new monetary, new financial system.
If it's something else, if it's something financial, one of the things I had seen around May 22nd was the announcement of a new financial system, or some kind of decision that was made regarding a new financial system. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see.
So chances are we may actually see some kind of announcement coming towards us in a couple of days. And that actually kind of ties up with all the other information which we have, like all of them are actually pointing towards 2020, 2021 in the new format of the ISO and the regulatory frameworks. All those are actually eyeing 2020 and 2021 itself. It's not like 10 years after.
The future timetable for these reviews, should it be a regular thing?
That's to be debated. First of all, the initial timetable that we're setting for ourselves, which is ambitious, I acknowledge that, is to try to conclude before the end of this year. So December 2020, hopefully we will have reached that platform of consensus on the various topics that we have.
Christine Lagarde herself states that it is an actually ambitious deadline which they are eyeing it, that is 2020 December. So there is a lot happening within 2020, that's next 7.5 months, and even if they are not on their schedule, they're actually eyeing to complete everything in next year. So that is not too long as an investor. So usually what we do as an investor is invest in something before it's happening. The sell the news thing, so by the time it happens, the price will be high. So if you want to buy, you have to buy low. That's actually an really insightful information put out by XRP Yo-Yo. Now let's move on to the next one. This is an article actually from the Financial Brand, and the title itself is actually pointing towards the entire changing of banking and payments behavior. So the important aspect is at the bottom. When we actually come through that, we can actually see a shift. The shift to digital has impacted all industries and virtually all forms of personal, professional, and transactional interactions. So all types of transactional interactions are kind of being impacted, and it is changing. Keep that in mind. So along with all these news we just heard, this is kind of in line with that. And this is the perfect time for financial institutions of all sizes to reduce physical branch networks and double down on digital banking investments, leverage new technologies, encourage digital payments, and partner with fintech firms. Again, digital banking. They are doubling down on that. Leverage new technologies, encourage digital payment, and partner with fintech firms that can assist with all of these transformations. How many fintechs are there who can actually double down on the new banking systems, leverage new technologies, new digital payments? Wow. That is kind of stating Ripple without naming it. Now this is from the Ripple Insights, and it's not that old, just a couple of days. So if you actually look at that, you are actually again pointing towards sustainable blockchains that will boost adoption. So when you actually go through the entire article, they're actually talking about the sustainability in environmental aspect as well. They're pointing towards an example of Tesla. Now coming back to what we were actually talking now, I know there are individuals within the XRP community who say Bitcoin is okay, Bitcoin is cool, it's gonna survive, and I agree with that. Bitcoin is gonna survive. It's going to be there as long as people don't trust governments. They will be looking for an alternative where they can actually store their value in. So it will remain a value or a store of value for those kind of individuals who doesn't trust the government. But the question is, if China decides to take down all the miners, what will happen? But we can say that as the value of oil is going down, the countries which are suffering from these can actually use those energy which they have and double down on Bitcoin mining. So that is a possibility. But looking in the long term, I don't think that is something worth, because everyone is moving towards sustainability. So the thing about proof of work is you're basically turning electricity into money. The more Bitcoin is worth, the more electricity it requires to operate the systems. And I don't think it is actually sustainable in this manner. So as it states here, the problem with mass adoption are actually on the front end user experience level. So in that aspect, if this is to be like proof of work is to be massively adopted by the world, the total population, take 50%, 10% of that, you need a lot of electricity. And that's why I don't think it's gonna happen in that particular way. Now, this is another article from Ripple Insights. Now, this is a bit old, but still it provides a lot of information. Liquidity and global markets. When you actually come through this, we can actually see they're actually looking at how the fallout is happening during this crisis, and sellers are dumping equities and bonds. So there is something going on in investors. In last video, we discussed about the change in institutional behavior, how the herd is shifting from the traditional investments. Now, it follows that liquidity around the digital asset XRP is the lifeblood of on-demand liquidity of Ripple. That is for cross-border payments. XRP can be sent directly, quickly, and cheaply without needing a central intermediary, making it a convenient instrument in bringing two different currencies quickly and efficiently. As a bridging tool in ODL, the greater the liquidity of XRP, less cost and risk in each transaction. Now, with this, I would also like to highlight, we actually used an article in the last video, but we were not that critical about that. The reason for that is my perspective is this: XRP is designed as a bridging tool. So when someone is coming out and saying, oh, blah, 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 XRP is not a currency, it is just a bridge asset. Yes, brother, it is a bridge asset. It was designed as a bridging tool, one currency to another. So what else do you expect the same asset to do? Now, if everyone is going to use this at different scale, the use case will actually arise after 5 years, after 10 years. We don't know now. No one actually foresaw that Google is going to rule like this before 10, 20 years, right? Only few or handful of people did. So in that aspect, you can actually complain. And if someone does complain, tell them it is designed as a bridging tool from one fiat to another. So it's okay, it is what it is, as it is designed for that. So if people are actually trying to push something there, then you need to really double down on that, do your research and check through that. Because this vicious cycle of utility, trading and liquidity continues to build. The more XRP is traded, the more liquid it becomes, solidifying its use in application. So that is kind of something new. New growth of XRP liquidity will come from a number of different sources. Emerging cross-border payments corridor, so that is just a bridging tool. And ODL partner exchanges demanding new currency pairs for XRP, that is speculation. Traders, investors coming in trading that. So it will help improve the trading volume and the ability to trade among assets. So that is fully investment. So when fools come out and say there is no other use case, let them say that. As a XRP holder, you double down on your research, do your technical analysis. If you are doing short term, it's up to you. I won't completely support that, but still you can get an idea. Using technical indicators, using technical analysis, charting actually allows you to understand where you are and where you are headed. If you are receiving value out of the content, do hit the like button, subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get updated about the future videos.